Search engine optimization. Getting your site ranked higher in the search engines. Introduction. Search engine optimization, or SEO, is the process of optimizing your website so the search engines will rank it higher in their results when people are searching for the types of information that you offer. In other words, making your website appear to be more relevant for the topic than all your competitors' sites, at least in the eyes of the search engines. There's a ton of information out there about how to get your websites ranked higher, and there are a ton of companies that offer these services as well. Some of those companies and some of the techniques are less ethical than others, with some being downright unethical. These companies use techniques that break the terms of use of the search engines, as well as possibly doing things that cross legal lines. You want to avoid these so-called black hat techniques, whether you're working with an SEO company or doing all the work yourself. These methods will work in some cases, sometimes extremely well, but they're short-term strategies. Eventually the search engines are going to figure it out, and they'll most likely de-index and even blacklist your website. Why put all the time and effort into something that could disappear on a moment's notice? In this report, we're going to cover some of the most important things you can do when optimizing your website, all of which will fall into the white hat category of SEO. So let's dive in. Why do you need SEO? To people who aren't familiar with the concept, SEO sometimes seems a little bit unnatural. The idea of creating content and adding certain things to your website purely to rank higher in the search engine seems like an artificial process. Frankly, it can be done in an artificial way. If you focus purely on SEO from the search engine's point of view, without considering the real visitors who are going to land on your website, it's not going to work out very well. Even if you get high rankings for your site, the people who arrive through the search engines aren't going to find much value, which means they're probably just going to leave anyway. Successful SEO marries the idea of optimizing for the search engines with providing value to the real visitors to your website. If you can combine the two effectively, there's nothing artificial about it at all. It's just good business sense. After all, if your website provides valuable content to your visitors, doesn't it make sense to do what you can to get those visitors on your site so that they can see it? You're helping them solve their problem, and you're actually helping the search engines as well, since their customers, which are the searchers, are finding what they want. That means they'll use that search engine again, since it obviously provides good results. And naturally, you win as well, since some of those visitors to your site will take whatever action it is you want them to take, clicking on an ad, opting into your email list, buying your product, etc. On-site versus off-site SEO. There are two main components to effective search engine optimization, on-site and off-site. On-site SEO includes everything you do on your own site to improve its optimization, using keywords in your content, having a good keyword density, optimizing your HTML tags, links within your own site. Off-site SEO, on the other hand, includes everything you do outside of your own site to improve the optimization. Building backlinks. Yes, off-site SEO really comes down to one thing, backlinks. We'll cover it in more detail shortly, but first let's look at the on-site factors in more detail. Keywords. When you optimize your website, what you're really doing is optimizing each individual page on the site and doing so for specific keywords on each page. For example, let's say your website is about dog training. You might have pages on puppy training, dog training methods, and dog training collars, to name a few. Each page will have a specific keyword that you want to optimize for. The puppy training page will be targeting the keyword puppy training. The dog training methods page will be targeting the phrase dog training methods, and so on. On any given page, you want to rank as high as possible in the search engines when someone searches for that keyword. So if someone searches for puppy training, that page on your website would rank near or at the top of the results. These keywords can be identified using a tool like the Google Keyword Tool or other applications like Micro Niche Finder or Market Samurai. You should always be working from a keyword list when you're optimizing your website, otherwise you may be targeting keywords that nobody's actually searching for. For instance, if you have a page on your website about your company's brand of dog training collars, optimizing for that specific keyword, say XYZ training collar, may not be very effective if nobody ever searches for it. Once you know what keywords you want to optimize for, you should start creating pages on your website for each of them, each optimized for different phrases. Some pages might be able to target more than one keyword phrase, mind you. You might have keywords like dog training collar and most effective dog training collar, for example. If you optimize a page for most effective dog training collar, it encompasses the other keyword as well, so when you optimize for the one, you're automatically optimizing for the other. The first thing you should do to optimize your content is to include the keyword itself. You don't want to overdo it and use it too many times, which is known as keyword stuffing, but you should use it a few times. It's a good idea to target a 1% to 2% keyword density, meaning for every 100 words on the page, your keyword should be used once or twice. HTML tags. Another important place to use your keywords is in the HTML tags on your page. This includes tags like the title tag, meta tags, H1, H2, H3 tags, and so on. The title tag is the most important of them all, so make sure you use your keyword once in the title tag as close to the beginning as you can. You should also include the keyword in the meta description and keywords tags. These aren't particularly important, nothing like they used to be, but they can still have a very small impact. It doesn't really take much effort to include them, so it's a good idea to do so. When you write your meta description tag, there's another important thing to remember. Most of the search engines, Google in particular, often use this tag as the description in the search results. So you want to write a description that makes sense to a real visitor, and preferably write it with a good call to action that will convince the searcher to choose your site out of the list of results. If you have a good description, you can sometimes get more clicks at position 2 or 3 than the site in the first position if its description isn't as effective. The other tags that should include your keyword if possible are the H1 tag and possibly H2 and H3 if it doesn't push your keyword density too high, and the image alt tags. If you're building your website in a tool like Dreamweaver, you can manage these tags manually as you design each page. If you're using WordPress or some other type of CMS or content management system, they most likely have a plugin that will handle this for you, such as the all-in-one SEO plugin for WordPress. Links within your own site. We're going to discuss backlinks in just a moment, but backlinks don't all have to come from other sites. You can also link between pages on your own site, and those count as backlinks as well. You don't want to overdo this. Linking to every other page on your site from each page isn't going to be very effective. The proper way to approach in-site linking is to link to other related articles, either within the content of the page itself or in a related links list at the bottom. This helps with SEO because the links are highly targeted, and it also helps your human visitors by giving them links to other pages they might find useful. Off-site SEO. Off-site SEO really comes down to one thing: backlinks. That is, links pointing to your website from other sites on the internet. Google was the first search engine to count these links as a factor in how they rank websites, but all the large search engines use links as a factor these days. The idea is the more links you have pointing to your site, the more popular it is, and therefore the content must be useful. Of course, Google's original algorithm assumed that these links were appearing because other people thought your content was good enough to link to. Building your own links kind of circumvents that assumption, but it's a necessary part of SEO. Hopefully the content in your website is good enough that other people will link to it as well, so over time you'll have a mix of links that you've built and links that have appeared naturally. Link sources. There are a lot of ways you can build links to your website. Some are easier than others, and some might even cost some money. But there are several methods that have worked quite well for years now and will most likely continue to do so, provided you do them correctly. Article marketing. Article marketing is probably one of the most widely used link building strategies simply because it's relatively easy and it doesn't have to cost anything. You submit articles to sites like ezinearticles.com and goarticles.com, and in exchange for the free content, they let you include a resource box at the end of your article with links back to your website. Over the last few years, there have been a lot of so-called systems that have recommended writing short, low-quality articles in large numbers to generate a lot of links back to your site. This strategy doesn't work very well any longer after Google's recent updates. But article marketing itself still works fine. You just need to make sure the articles you submit are high quality, with enough length to actually provide a good amount of information, usually 500 words or more. It takes more work, but frankly, taking shortcuts isn't a long-term strategy anyway. You're much better off to submit one 500-word article that will be live on the internet for years to come than to submit 3 or 4 200 to 250-word articles that might get removed if there's another shakeup with Google. Always think long-term when doing your link building. Social media. Social media sites like Twitter and Facebook have really taken off over the last 2 or 3 years. These have become powerful sources of backlinks, particularly if a lot of people are talking about your site and linking to it. You can seed this viral process through your own account, but when it comes to social media, you need to be providing some real value in the content on your site. People won't share junk, and the search engines know it. That's one of the reasons they're putting more and more weight on these social sites. If lots of people are sharing something, it probably means it's worth sharing, so by extension, it's worth having a higher ranking in the search results. At the moment, Facebook and Twitter are the two most powerful social media sites, but this is an area that can change pretty quickly. MySpace is a good example. Until Facebook came on the scene, MySpace was the 800-pound gorilla, and now hardly anybody ever mentions them anymore. Keep an eye out for new up-and-coming social media sites. If you see one that seems to be getting some traction, like Google Plus is at the moment, get yourself signed up for a profile and become active there as well. The sooner you get started, the better, since you'll have an established presence when the majority of people start signing up. Social bookmarking. Social bookmarking is another way to generate backlinks to your websites. It's similar to social media in some ways, but it's not quite as effective. The best way to use social bookmarking is to create some buzz for new posts on your site. Until your site builds some authority with the search engines, it can take a little while for new content to get indexed. Creating some social bookmarks pointing back to your site can be a good way to get content indexed faster, and getting indexed is the first step to getting ranked. Free hosting. There are lots of places that you can get free hosting, such as Blogger.com, WordPress.com, and Squidoo.com. You're not building your own websites on your own domains in these places. Instead, you're leveraging their authority in the search engines for backlinks to your site. You can build pages or websites or lenses on these type of sites that include links back to your own websites. Some of them, like Squidoo.com, will even let you include an RSS feed, so every time you post something new on your site, those other pages get updated with the new links. It's never a good idea to use free hosting for your money site, the one that ultimately makes you money, but they're perfect for building links back to those sites. Some of the most effective free hosts include WordPress.com, Blogger.com, Squidoo.com, Scribd.com, and DevHub.com. Link exchanges. Link exchanges are considered old school with most internet marketers. These were originally direct swaps of links, usually found on a recommended links page or something similar. You would post a link to another site on that page, and the other site would post a link to yours on their links page. These type of link exchanges stopped being effective years ago, but that doesn't mean that link exchanges don't work anymore. You just have to be smart about it. You might swap content with another site, so you post their article on your site along with a resource box link, and they do the same for you. Or you can do a 3- or 4-way link swap. You link to site number 2, site number 2 links on to site number 3, and then site number 3 links back to you. Blog commenting. Blog commenting can also be a very effective way to generate backlinks. Plus, if you do it effectively, you can even generate some direct traffic back to your website. The idea is to comment on other blogs in the same market as you and include a link back to your website from there. If you comment on popular blogs, you can wind up with a valuable link down the road a bit, since the pages on that site could wind up with really good page rank. It's important not to comment spam, however. Don't just leave useless comments like, "Wow, great post," and read the blog post and add value with your comment. If you focus on a handful of blogs and comment regularly, it can also be a good way to get noticed by the higher profile bloggers in your market. And if you write insightful posts on your own blog, they might even drop by and comment on yours every once in a while. The link in your blog comment can come in a couple of ways. When you leave a comment, most blog platforms ask for your name and a website URL. When the comment goes live, your name will be hyperlinked to the URL that you enter. Some people recommend using keywords as your name to get good anchor text links in your comments, but I don't agree. How likely is your comment to get approved when it's coming from someone named Dog Training Methods? Most bloggers will just delete those type of comments. Even if you use your own name, you're still getting a link to your site. And if you really want to get your keywords in there, try something like John the Dog Training Guy Smith. Some bloggers will still delete this, but it's got a better chance of approval at least. The other way you can get backlinks through blog commenting is through a WordPress plugin called Comment Love. Any blogs that use this plugin will add a link to the most recent post on your site to the end of your comment, assuming your website is a blog as well. Sites that use this plugin are obviously aware of the value of a backlink, so they're often good sites to target since they're more likely to accept your comment, assuming it adds value, of course. Paid links. Another way to get backlinks is to pay for them. There are services like textlinkads.com and textlinkbrokers.com that sell links on behalf of other websites. You can choose the page rank of the page your link is on, and in some cases you can even buy site-wide links, putting a link to your website on every page of their site. These links can cost quite a bit, particularly when the link is on a higher page rank page, so whether or not it's a good investment will depend on your budget and how well you can monetize your visitors. And keep in mind that the search engines don't like paid links, at least paid links that aren't labeled clearly as such. If they identify a link as being paid, they might discount it anyway, resulting in little or no value being passed. Another option for paid links is to set up private deals yourself. If you find a website that's ranking well and has some pages with decent page rank, you can always contact the webmaster directly to see if they'd be interested in selling you a link on their site. These type of arrangements are a lot harder for the search engines to identify, so they can be worth the extra work. Conclusion. We've covered some of the basics of search engine optimization in this video: on-site optimization, building backlinks, and backlinking strategies and sources. If you implement what you've learned here, you'll have better SEO than many of your competitors and will be able to outrank many of them with relatively little effort. And as you get more experience, you'll be able to expand on what's working for you and possibly even outsource some of the work so you're not spending all your time on SEO.